For centuries, one mysterious object has captured the attention, devotion, and curiosity of people from all over the world. It's a single piece of linen cloth, about 14 feet long and 3.5 feet wide. On it is a faint but powerful image of a man who appears to have been crucified. This cloth is known as the Shroud of Turin. Many people believe this shroud is the actual burial cloth of Jesus Christ. Others are not so sure. Some scientists think it's a medieval forgery. Some historians believe it's part of a long-lost relic from early Christianity. And then, there are those who think the image was created through a miracle. No matter what you believe, one thing is certain: the Shroud of Turin is one of the most studied and controversial religious artifacts in human history. It has inspired both faith and skepticism, and it continues to puzzle scientists, historians, and religious scholars alike. Let's explore where this mysterious cloth came from, what science has discovered about it, and why it still matters today. Our story begins in the 14th century, in a small French village called Lirey. That's where the shroud first appeared in recorded history. A French knight named Geoffroy de Charny displayed the cloth in a local church. People came from far and wide to see it. Many believed it was the actual burial cloth of Christ, showing the image of his crucified body. However, not everyone believed it. The local bishop at the time, Bishop Pierre d'Arcis, claimed that the shroud was a fake. He even wrote to the Pope, saying that the image had been painted by a clever artist. The church didn't officially recognize the shroud as real, but the public's fascination had already begun. But what happened to the shroud before the 14th century? That's one of the biggest mysteries. Some scholars believe the shroud may be much older. They connect it to cloths mentioned in early Christian writings or to the Mandelion of Edessa, a relic said to bear the face of Jesus. However, these connections are uncertain, and no clear historical record places the shroud in existence before the 1300s. After its display in France, the shroud eventually came into the hands of the royal house of Savoy. It was moved to various locations in France and Italy. In 1532, a fire broke out in the chapel where the shroud was kept. Part of the silver container holding it melted and burned holes in the cloth. Nuns carefully sewed patches onto it to repair the damage. These patches are still visible today. In 1578, the shroud was moved to Turin, Italy, where it remains to this day, housed in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. In 1898, everything changed. An amateur Italian photographer named Secondo Pia was allowed to take the first official photographs of the shroud. When he developed the photographic negatives, he was stunned. The image on the cloth appeared in incredible detail, more lifelike and clear in the negative than in the original. The negative showed a powerful, almost photographic face of a man who had suffered greatly. People were amazed. For some, it was proof that the shroud was not only real but possibly divine. For others, it only deepened the mystery. How could such a detailed image be created on linen centuries before the invention of photography? As science advanced in the 20th century, researchers began studying the shroud more closely. They found that the image was not painted, drawn, or applied by any known technique. Microscopic analysis showed no brush strokes, no pigments, no dyes. The image was formed by a change in the color of the cloth's fibers, but only on the surface, less than 1/5 of a human hair deep. The image shows a front and back view of a man. He appears to have been beaten, scourged, crowned with thorns, and crucified. His hands and feet show wounds consistent with nails. There's a large wound in the side, similar to where a Roman soldier pierced Jesus. Blood stains appear around the head and across the body, matching the traditional wounds of the Passion of Christ. So scientists asked, how was this image created? In 1988, the Vatican allowed carbon dating tests to be performed on a small sample of the cloth. 3 laboratories in Oxford, Zurich, and Arizona tested the fibers. Their results were similar. The cloth dated to between 1260 and 1390 AD. This seemed to confirm that the shroud was made in the Middle Ages, long after the time of Christ. But the controversy didn't end there. Critics of the carbon dating said the sample used was from a corner of the cloth that had been repaired after the 1532 fire. That section may not have represented the original material. Some scientists argued that contamination or newer threads could have skewed the results. Other tests have supported the possibility that the shroud is much older. For example, pollen found on the cloth includes species from the Middle East, especially around Jerusalem. Studies of the bloodstains showed characteristics of real human blood, specifically type AB, a rare type often found in Middle Eastern populations. The wounds and blood flow patterns also matched what would happen to someone who had been crucified in a real-life scenario. Despite this, no one has been able to fully explain how the image was made. Some researchers tried to reproduce the image using paint, heat, acid, or light. None of the results looked exactly like the shroud. Many scientists agree that the image was not made using any known artistic technique from the medieval period, or any time for that matter. Some theories suggest natural causes, like chemical reactions between a decomposing body and the linen cloth. Others propose that an unknown radiation or energy burst caused the discoloration. Still, others point to the idea of a miraculous event, that the image was formed in the moment of the resurrection. This theory is, of course, not testable by science, but it remains a source of faith for many believers. Beyond the scientific debates, the shroud continues to hold deep religious meaning. Many Catholics believe the shroud is a powerful witness to Christ's suffering and love. Though the Church has not officially declared it to be the burial cloth of Jesus, it encourages reverence and respect. Popes have prayed before the shroud, and millions of people have visited it during public exhibitions. For Protestants and Orthodox Christians, views vary. Some see the shroud as a possible link to the historical Jesus. Others are more skeptical, focusing instead on faith through Scripture. What's interesting is how the shroud has influenced religious art. Before the shroud became widely known, images of Jesus varied a lot, in hairstyle, beard, and face. But after the shroud's photographic negative was revealed, more artists began to portray Jesus with long hair, a beard, and similar facial features, much like the face on the shroud. Outside of churches and museums, the shroud has made its way into modern culture too. It's been featured in books, documentaries, and TV specials. People from all walks of life, believers and skeptics, have been drawn to the mystery. It's even appeared in thrillers and movies about religious secrets and lost relics. All this leads us to one big question. What are the main theories about how the shroud came to be? First, there's the fake theory. This theory suggests the shroud was made in the Middle Ages as a deliberate forgery. It may have been designed to attract pilgrims or to serve as a religious icon. Supporters of this theory point to the carbon dating results and the lack of clear history before the 1300s. Next is the natural theory. This idea suggests the image formed through natural processes. One version says chemicals from a decaying body mixed with the linen and created the image. Another version proposes an ancient form of photography using light-sensitive materials and controlled light sources. But again, no one has fully reproduced the shroud's image using these methods. Then there's the miracle theory. This is the belief that the image was formed supernaturally, perhaps at the moment of the resurrection, when divine energy imprinted Jesus' image onto the cloth. This view can't be tested in a lab, but it continues to be deeply meaningful to millions of people. So what comes next? Even today, scientists and historians are still studying the shroud. New tools like 3D imaging, digital scanning, and microchemical analysis are being used to unlock its secrets. Some researchers believe future technologies may help us understand when the shroud was made and how the image got there. Preserving the shroud is also a big focus. Special climate controls keep it safe from heat, humidity, and light. It's rarely displayed to the public to prevent damage. But more than that, the shroud leaves behind a legacy. It's a symbol of human curiosity, our desire to know the truth, to seek meaning, and to connect with something beyond ourselves. Whether you see it as a relic, a mystery, or a message, the shroud continues to ask us deeper questions. Who was this man? What happened to him? And what does it mean for us today? Whether it is truly the burial cloth of Christ or not, the Shroud of Turin remains one of the most powerful and puzzling artifacts in history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history, science, faith, and mystery. The Shroud may never reveal all its secrets, but it will always inspire us to keep asking questions, and maybe, to believe in the possibility of something greater than ourselves.